Hey, if you've been blocking the ball high to the right, and sometimes then you get that quick hook, then there's a really good chance that you might be stuck in your downswing. Now, I just spent the last day watching every video on YouTube I could find dealing with getting stuck. And in this video, I think you're gonna see I'm gonna present stuck in a little different way and make it much simpler for you to fix the problem. So you're really gonna wanna stay tuned. Hey, this is Steve with HitItLonger.com. I continue my journey to hit the ball longer and straighter than I ever have before. Hopefully I can help you do the same. All right, probably the number one problem out there for the better golfers watching is getting stuck. In fact, I would estimate, since I was a perennial mini tour player and no better, I would estimate for every guy that you see on TV playing and winning money on the PGA Tour or in Europe, many of the major tours, there's probably 100 guys that are almost good enough to make it out there, except for the fact that they're stuck. So it's very frustrating. It can be a lifelong problem. It can be very difficult to fix. You can really tear your hair out trying to correct this problem. But I think I have a good solution for you. I have a great drill that I'll show you later, and a little bit of different take than every other YouTube video I've watched on being stuck. So first of all, let's define what is getting stuck. So if we're just looking at the club here, that last parallel, when you're coming into the ball, you want that club to fall like this onto the parallel to the target line when it reaches last parallel. So what stuck would be, this is what would be ideal. What stuck would be is if the club head was kind of trapped inside the hands at this point, causing if you had a laser beam in the grip, it would be pointing out to right field for too long. So stuck would look kind of like this. Now from here, most golfers will come in too far from the inside with the hands and the handle very tall. The shaft is out of position ahead and the face is open. And you can see that in most people who are stuck, about a foot from the ball or so. Now what happens from there is you got to save the shot. So once we're here, and you can actually even trace this further back. So if you like to film yourself from down the line and you're just tired of seeing this over shallow as you turn through and it starts dropping underneath the forearm and then ends up in the stuck position. So back here you can already see it because it looks like it's dropping too much. And then you into this position. It's unsavable from here unless you start to introduce this type of torque here. So this rolling of the shaft torque that causes the emergency save of the toe. And you'll usually get exits that look something like this. They come out above the shoulder, between the shoulder and the ear, or even at the shoulder if it's not too bad. And the toe is turned over and twisted, kind of like that. So that's the save for a good player. Now, everybody has some degree of stuck who's got this issue. Some people are worse than others. What the really horrible thing is if you've got some power and you get stuck, and that can really drive you nuts because then your misses become so far and so left, you just simply can't play a golf course with anything penalizing left and right. What are we going to do to control this? Well, I've seen so many different potential solutions on YouTube in the last day. I've watched a lot of videos on this, but I can't believe it's the solution staring them right in the face. All these people that have so much knowledge and wisdom, they work with such good players, yet they don't see the one thing that's staring them right in the face that's so simple, and that is it's the roll of the left arm, the path of the left arm. All you got to do is go back to one of the Mike Austin basics, and that is to make sure that the club handle is always passing each thigh no more than one hand span away. So whenever you're stuck, I guarantee you that arm is a greater distance than one hand span. Now, watch how I can fix this so easily. Here I am. I'm good at the top. Starts to shallow too much. And my elbow starts getting trapped behind here. And I'm way behind it here. Look at that distance right there. Now I'm like 3 or 4 hand widths to be super duper stuck. And now from here, I cannot ever push with enough strength with my hands to make this club now come back around and square up on time. This is why some teachers will call this tipping. Now, tipping is a pretty good word. I like tipping. Let's make sure we understand what tipping means. Now, tipping would be, imagine if there's a 500-pound weight at the top of this club and it starts to tip one way. Well, you're trying to save it. No matter how much strength you have, you can never quite lift it back into balance again. However, if we want the club to fall this way and it gets tippy this way, then it's almost going to fall on its own, and my effort is just going to speed it up even more. Now, how would I get this club to tip over one way or another? Well, if I want to tip it in the right direction, I'm ready to push, but if this thing starts to work against me, I'm never going to lift it back up again. However, if I can just pull the handle this way a little bit, this way, it starts to tip all by itself, and I can just throw it down like that. So think of the same thing if gravity is now this way. If I get that club this way, it's like it's tipping this way, and no amount of force that I can try to generate is ever going to get it to square up the right way. You're always going to have to introduce some kind of extra face rotation into there. Now, what's cool is if you get this thing to here and it tips even just a little bit, then it almost wants to fall into the ball by itself. Almost. You're going to have to still give it push with both hands trying to uncock, but it makes it feel as though the club is very light. It's very fluid. It doesn't feel like a struggle, or it doesn't feel like I have to be strong to square it up. It's a very different feeling, a nice feeling of balance. It's a feeling of leverage. So let's go back and we'll look at so I like tipping, but let's go back and we'll look at our hand path, our arm path here. Now watch the difference. Let's say I'm pretty good in the slot, got it kind of right on the forearm. Now if I can get this thing back into the hand span range, you see what happens automatically to the shaft. It lines up quite nicely. You'll also see that it's a bit lower down my thigh. It almost forces me to keep my butt back, because if I push this way, my thigh is now occupying the lane that I'm trying to pull the club down. So if you can get that club pulling, and I'll show you a great drill for this in a minute, but you want that club coming in and the left arm coming in, back attached to the pec again, where it started. If you see space, someone can tickle you, then you're probably stuck. You need that to disappear by the time you get to this last parallel. Now from here, you're not done, because you still have to make the handle curve around to the left, so you're not done. From here, if you just exit to center field, well, you're still not going to get that angular response you're after, and you're going to end up like this. So we need to also make sure the club handle is passing one hand span from the left thigh. So from the slot, we're going one hand span. That gets it to tip. Now this left leg is going to be straightening and posting around to the left. You're going to have to go get it like this. And look where that exit comes out now. The exit comes out much lower, almost out the armpit. And you notice the face can point a little bit more back at the camera because I don't have to flip the toe. So we have a really good hand path. You just simply have to follow the handspan rule. It's really that simple. You don't have to make it complicated like, oh, here's one I hear, oh, you got to make sure your arms are keeping up with the turn of your body. Man, you'll pursue that till the end of time while trying to synchronize. That's their secret word. No, just make sure you follow the handspan. It's one handspan from the right thigh, and then one handspan from the left thigh. Keep exiting around to the left. What's really cool about this is when you get this part right here, how much of the rest of your swing it will fix. You won't even believe it. It might fix you as far back as the top of the swing. For example, I see people that cross the line a lot, and then they drop here, and they're going out and they're stuck. The other thing I see is people who drop the hands down under the plane early, so they have to go out to the plane late, and now we're stuck again. What's really cool is if you can just follow the handspan rule, both of those problems will be fixed on the very next swing. Now you could spend the rest of your life trying to fix those two issues, but I promise you, I've seen them fixed in literally one swing just by fixing the impact zone. So just keep this in mind. Remember the handspan rule. All right, now let me show you what I think is the best and simplest drill to fix being stuck. And I've got my bag and I've got a long club out with the head cover on it, enough to force me, let's make it a little tighter, it's going to force me to adhere to the handspan rule coming in right there. If I get out further, my hand is going to hit the head cover. And you see the gap is too big. My handle is turning the corner too late. It's like a race car driver who blows the turn, and then he has to oversteer the car to get back on the track again. This will force you to not only follow the handspan rule like this, the club will automatically tip, or some people say tumble, because of the action, the tipping action this way of the handle as it comes in. It's an automatic. What's really cool is that this also has the potential to fix any early extension, because you can see you're going to swallow up the handspan. If you early extend, or your heel goes up like this, you've erased the space. There's no room anymore to come. It's going to force your hand path out further. So it can also fix early extension. Then from there, one handspan past the left thigh, and keep it going, exiting around to the left. Let's see if I can just give this an easy hit. My goal here is simply to not let my left arm hit the head cover. Pretty good shot. I did. If you look at that in slow-mo, you'll see that the tip of this bone just barely caught it and oscillated it. So this is obviously something that I need to work on more as well, so I can get that club tipping or tumbling. Probably the best guy on tour that you'll see who's as unstuck as possible is Jon Rahm. And you can see that, boy, does he come, and that thing really turns turns it to the outside of the hand so early for him. But then look at the replay of the swing again. You'll see how tight in. His left arm is under his shoulder. Never gets outside this wall right here. Never gets outside it, and then it turns left, and the shaft is kind of low. Now, the straightest hitter in PGA Tour history, maybe ever, was Calvin Peete, routinely hitting over 80% of the fairways every year. Look at him, he's doing the same thing. His left arm will never break the wall, so it never breaks this one handspan rule, and then works left in a hurry. Nobody hit it straighter than him. Nobody's better than Rahm right now. Look at anybody whose arm stays under the shoulder and follows the one handspan rule around both thighs. It's going to have really good chance of hitting it straight, not getting stuck, hitting the block, and then having to flip the hook to compensate. Now, how do I have this drill set up? I have it set up with the head cover is about even with my right hip. And it's just going to force me, just by missing the head cover. You can even just practice this at the office, here and around. And get unstuck at home or at the office just by doing this. Notice the arm gets glued. A little push of the hands and the club gets unstuck, comes through, and we can eliminate a lot of that nasty flip of the toe. Straighten your path, get you out of blocking, hooking. Man, it might be a lifesaver for some of you. Hey, try my drill. Set it up like this. A microphone stand with a noodle works great too. Let me know in the comments how it worked for you, or just maybe the idea of following my handspan rule. Let me know how that helped you down in the comments. Hey, everybody, thanks so much for watching again. I'm Steve, and as usual, I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good care.